9-year-old missing Lompoc, California girl Melody Buzzard's body has been found, and the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office has done a press conference along with several other agencies giving us some details. This is breaking news. The press conference began about an hour ago, concluded about 25 minutes later. We're going to watch it together, but the news is that poor little 9-year-old Melody Buzzard is dead. Stay with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. On this channel, where we like to cut through the fluff and sensationalism of true crime, get down to the nitty-gritty, we like to do so in a manner that is compassionate. And today, actually, I should thank you for joining me. I always forget that. Thank you for joining me. Wherever you're joining me from, tell me in the live chat, in the comments, where you're joining from. I love that. Our plan today was not to cover this case. Our plan was to talk about the Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner case, to try to dig into why children sometimes kill their parents. But we had to make a pivot, and thank you for letting me do that, allowing me to pivot over to Melody Buzzard's case. This one is the exact opposite. Why do sometimes parents kill their children? I do not know. I don't understand it. It is, it's just incomprehensible to me. And as I was kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off, I had a hard time getting prepared for this live stream because so much was going on. Let me check in with your comments here. Mooney comments, even though the perp walk is blurry, the pic seems to capture the pure evil that is Ashley. Yeah. We got Fredonia, PA in the house. Thank you very much for telling me. You knew before I even asked. Suffolk in the house. Washington State, South Central Kentucky, Warrensville, North Carolina, Columbus, Ohio, Kansas, Columbia, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, York, PA, Seattle area, St. Robert, Missouri, Wales. I do love Wales. I've visited a couple times. And Grace Mayato says, I'm completely horrified. Yeah, and I think that reflects how many of us feel. I think we all knew that news like this was going to come. This is like the Jack and Lily case, the Jack and Lily Sullivan case. They've been gone so long. The chances of them being alive, it would be a miracle. And same with little Melody here. It would have been a miracle, but it turns out that this beautiful little 9-year-old girl died in Wayne County, Utah, from multiple, looks like 2, I think, from what they said, bullet wounds, gunshot wounds to the head. And it's just so tragic and sad. I didn't have time to set up my buttons, so let's go over. No, wrong one. We're going to go to this one, guys. And if you've watched already, please bear with me. We're going to pause along the way as we discuss this press conference. Here we go. This is the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office.
Ashley provided no verifiable explanation for Melody's whereabouts. October 15th, 2025. Detectives served a search warrant at the Buzzard residence in the 500 block of Mars Avenue in the Lompoc area, looking for evidence pertaining to Melody's whereabouts. Subsequent to the search warrant, it was determined that Ashley had recently rented a car, and video surveillance images were obtained showing Ashley and Melody at the rental car office, both of them wearing wigs in an apparent attempt to conceal their identity.
Yeah, we've seen those pictures.
These images were shared with the public on October the 22nd in an attempt to obtain additional information about their whereabouts. On October 24th, 2025, detectives shared an updated timeline and travel route with the public of Melody's last known movements along a multi-state round-trip travel route that included California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, and Nebraska, with a return route including Kansas, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and then back to California. Detectives learned that along this trip, Ashley switched the license plates on the vehicle she had rented to a New York plate, and found out that she would back her vehicle into gas stations in an apparent attempt to avoid detection by their surveillance cameras.
That points to consciousness
Melody
of guilt,
was last
right?
seen on video surveillance with Ashley on the Colorado side of the Colorado-Utah border on Thursday, October 9th, 2025. And detectives now believe that Melody was murdered shortly after that stop. On October the 30th, sheriff's detectives, along with the FBI evidence response team, responded and served follow-up search warrants at the home of Ashley Buzzard, as well as for a storage locker that she had rented and upon the car that she had recently rented as well. During the search of the Mars Avenue residence, an expended cartridge case was recovered. During the search of the vehicle, a live round of similar ammunition was located. Detectives submitted the expended cartridge case to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives for inclusion in their national database called NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. December the 6th, 2025. Members of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office in Utah responded to a call from a man and a woman who were taking photos just off the 3300 block of East State Route 24 in a remote part of Wayne County, Utah. This couple had discovered the decomposed body of a deceased person off of the side adjacent to West Caneville Road. On December 8th, 2025, a member of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office notified the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office of the discovery of the unidentified found body. Although immediate identification of the deceased person was not possible, it was apparent that the decedent was a female who had died from gunshot wounds to the head. December 17th, 2025.
Guys, the whole showing up at the rental car place with wigs, the traveling multiple states. What is it? California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas. I think I've got all the states there. Backing into gas stations to avoid the cameras. Renting a car, renting a storage locker, ammunition. This was planned from the time she left, man. That's what it looks like to me. That she planned, okay, I'm taking my daughter on a road trip, and on that road trip, I'm going to murder her. What makes a mother do that? What makes a mother do that? Oh my goodness. Like, I don't understand it. I certainly don't condone it, right? But on some level, I get when somebody snaps, when somebody gets so angry they lose control of their faculties. It's totally wrong, right? It's completely wrong. But I can understand how that happens. people lose their tempers all the time, and sometimes they end up doing horrible things. That's not this. This is taking many thousands of miles on a road trip. That has to be like 2,500 miles that they drove. And having it planned out and going to a remote area. Look at this. Let me just bring you over here, right? They showed this on the screen behind the sheriff there, but that is just the remotest of remote areas of the world. Look, it's in the middle of the high desert, all the way down, traveling along Highway 24, which is, I mean, it's not we're gonna look at Highway 24, taking an exit onto West Caneville Road, and somewhere on this area, let's see, West Caneville Road turns into South Caneville Road there. So it's like from there to there. You guys can see somewhere in there. And look, the highway is just a 2-lane highway out in the middle of Nowheresville, Utah. I mean, it's beautiful. As somebody who lived in the desert for several years, I love the desert, but that is in the middle of nowhere. Let me get it back up to satellite view. That whole thing was planned. It was just planned. All right, let's continue.
The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives examination of cartridge cases found at the Utah crime scene resulted in a NIBIN hit, linking them to the single cartridge case that was found at the Buzzard residence. On December 22nd, yesterday, the FBI Crime Lab notified our agency that DNA analysis had determined that the remains found in Utah were a familial DNA match to Ashley Buzzard.
Look, they've got it down to the date. They believe that she was murdered on October 9th, 2 days after they rented that car.
Today, December 23rd, 2025, members of the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office and the FBI served search and arrest warrants at the Mars Avenue residence and arrested Ashley Lynn Buzzard for the murder of Melody Buzzard.
By the way, I think we do have just very, very low resolution still grabs. There was some video. I was kind of scrambling to change my plan, so I didn't get a good video of this. But there she is, not made up, not in a wig. Just in a t-shirt and jeans, being taken out by the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. My goodness. And I'm going to read this. Actually, no, we won't read this quite yet. We'll go back to the press conference.
Ashley was taken into custody without incident, and she was booked at the Northern Branch Jail for first-degree murder, where she is currently being held without bail.
Obviously, first degree, with all the pre-planning that went into that. Obviously, all that pre-planning goes to two elements of first degree murder. Once, malice aforethought, right? Pre-planning, which, I mean, we're always talking about how malice aforethought, pre-planning can happen in an instant. No, this happened over a road trip of a couple days. Right. And then the consciousness of guilt thing for me, where she's endeavoring to hide her identity. I think this is going to be a pretty easy case.
While these developments represent important steps towards holding
good law enforcement
Ashley Buzzard accountable for the murder of her daughter, they do not diminish the profound loss that we are acknowledging today. Because this case is now moving through the court system, there are limits on what additional detail we can share publicly at this time. At this point, I'm going to ask Lieutenant Chris Gottschall to recognize the personnel and agencies whose work in our region was instrumental in this investigation.
Thank you, Sheriff.
There are a couple people that are going to talk here, and
Good
then they'll
afternoon.
do some questions.
This case required an extraordinary level of coordination and commitment amongst all agencies. I want to specifically recognize the detectives who tirelessly worked from the very beginning, including lead detective Joe Oliver, Detective Ruben Esparza, Detective Matt Maxwell, Detective Cliff Kabasig, Detective Thomas Brownlee, and Sergeant Jeff McDonald, along with numerous investigators,
Yeah.
deputies,
And
professional staff,
while he talks
and
about
support
this,
personnel
let me just
who
say,
contributed
one of the
countless
things
hours
I would
to
check
this
on
effort.
this every day.
I'd also like to acknowledge our
I would check on this case every day for headlines, just see if there's any update on this, and it just seemed like nothing. And it started to feel like there wasn't ever going to be an update on this. So I'm extremely glad for all these people who worked so
Tobacco,
hard
firearms, and
to
explosives.
solve this case.
the California Department of Justice, the Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office, Santa Barbara County Child Welfare Services, the Lompoc Unified School District, and Santa Barbara County Search.
Yeah, let's not forget the school district, right? It was the school district that alerted law enforcement at the very beginning about her prolonged absence. And it kind of goes to show the stupidity of criminals, right? Maybe, no, I don't want to say this out loud because I don't want to give criminals, they'll figure it out because of this. If they're watching this, they'll figure it out anyway. But dude, you left your child enrolled in school with a plan to take her cross country to murder her. Oh my goodness. Thank all that is holy that criminals are so stupid. But also remember, guys, that even with the stupidity of this criminal, they had to work hard to solve this case. Dr. Kenny Clark, my buddy Kenny, I have two Kennys that are buddies of mine. How many Kennys can a man have in his life? Anyway, I have two Kennys. One is a quadruple board certified forensic pathologist, and he told me on this here program, hey, solving murder is hard. It's very hard. And so we shouldn't take this for granted, right? All the hard work that went into this, but starting with the school district.
And rescue. At this time, I would like to invite Special Agent in Charge Patrick Grandy, executive from the FBI Los Angeles Field Office, to speak about the FBI's key role in supporting this investigation. Thank you, Sheriff.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Grandy. I'm a special agent in charge with the FBI's Los Angeles Field Office. Various FBI field offices in multiple states devoted resources to this investigation, and I can confidently speak on behalf of all FBI employees when I say that our collective hearts are broken as a result of this senseless outcome. The agents in our Santa Maria office, just north of here, worked tirelessly for the past couple of months with the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, and this has no doubt affected them as well personally.
Yeah, having to
We were
work
all
on the
hoping to
murder of a
find Melody
9-year-old.
alive, as you undoubtedly were as well. That said, the FBI will continue to provide resources to the County of Santa Barbara as they pursue justice for Melody, whether that be laboratory services, running down leads in other states, or other investigative assets. As I mentioned, this investigation spanned multiple states. FBI field offices in Denver, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Omaha, Salt Lake City, San Diego, and San Francisco, as well as numerous other local partners provided resources. In particular, as the sheriff mentioned, the Wayne County Sheriff's Department in Utah and their medical examiner for their dedication to Melody's remains once they were found.
Can
Thank
you
in
just
advance for
imagine
bearing with
being that couple that found that little body? I mean, you would be able to recognize that as a small, small body. Oh, that would just be tragic.
Me is I would like to recognize the following agencies that also played a significant role in this investigation. As the sheriff mentioned, it was quite extensive. From the state of Colorado, the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Colorado Department of Transportation, Colorado State Police, Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Grand Junction, Colorado Police Department, Gunnison Police Department, Gunnison Sheriff's Office, Salida Police Department. From the state of Nebraska, the Nebraska State Police. From the state of Utah, the Piute County Sheriff's Office, St. George Police Department, the Utah State Bureau of Investigation, and the Utah Department of Public Safety. Lastly, I'd like to recognize the media for reporting on this story continuously.
Hey, this is actually really important, and I think that the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office did a pretty fantastic job of working hard to make sure that the media had enough information. They even kind of trickled it out in order for there to be new stories. I don't know if it was necessarily that was their plan, but that's the effect of it, right? New stories as new things come out. And that kept everybody focused.
For members of the public who called in tips, we continue to urge anyone with information about Melody's murder to contact law enforcement. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to the sheriff.
Thank you. Let me just conclude by saying these remarks. The circumstances of Melody Buzzard's murder are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
All of us who have been involved in this case have been deeply affected by it. We were hoping against hope that she would be safely found.
Yeah.
This outcome is deeply tragic, and on behalf of the entire Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, I want to extend our deepest condolences to those who knew and loved Melody.
Yeah, remember that Melody had grown siblings, at least one. I think there was more than one. From her father's side, they were estranged, right? But who wanted to know Melody, who loved Melody in the absence of their life, and no longer have her. It's just sad.
I want to take a moment to speak directly to the Meza and Buzzard families who have endured unimaginable pain throughout this ordeal. Their strength, their patience, and their steadfast hope have been evident from the very beginning. No family should ever have to experience this kind of loss, and our hearts are with them today and will be with them in the difficult days ahead. We stand with them and we remain committed to securing justice for Melody. I also want to thank the members of the media, both you here in our region and those out of state, for your continued coverage, including the conveyance of Melody's image and the circumstances of her disappearance all across America.
Yeah.
Your involvement played a meaningful role in advancing this investigation.
You know, the interesting, if I can just interrupt this before the questions begin, we got about 5 minutes left on this video, but the difference between a law enforcement organization, an agency that will successfully partner with the media in order to move their case forward versus one who places themselves as an adversary to the media. I think about the Emmanuel Haro case, right? Oh my goodness, this little baby Emmanuel. Do you remember just how adversarial that was all in the Inland Empire, right? In Southern California. You remember how adversarial that was? And contrast that here with this press conference here and with their behavior the entire time. How can the media help us? that law enforcement agencies need to understand that there is an interest in crime. And there are many reasons for it. Some of it's just morbid curiosity. Some of it is a deep desire to understand the criminal mind. And there's a giant spectrum of reasons why we care about crime. But they need to understand that we will be making content. From the largest news organizations to the lowliest YouTubers like me, we will be making content because it matters to us. This little girl, this little 9-year-old girl who we never knew, matters to us. And the law enforcement personnel who worked on this case did an excellent job of working with the media to keep everything alive, to keep the story going, to make it so that people would be on the lookout, to incentivize other law enforcement agencies to to continue to work hard on the case, because I'm sure they feel the same cynicism and exhaustion that all of us do, maybe even more so. I mean, it's probably very hard to maintain your heart when, expressing to the world how deeply sorry you are that this 9-year-old girl has been murdered with gunshot wounds to the head, when you see that kind of thing day in and day out. I bet it's very hard to maintain that level of sympathy, that level of empathy. So, man, I can't sing their praises enough. This was a very, very good law enforcement effort over many law enforcement agencies.
To the members of our community who followed this case closely, thank you for your engagement, for your support, and for your willingness to come forward with information. The loss of a child is among the most profound tragedies any community can endure, and that loss is exacerbated when it is at the hand of someone else, and particularly at the hand of the one who should have loved them the most.
Yeah.
Today, we stand together in grief, but also with resolve. Melody deserved a far better life than she had. We will honor her memory by ensuring that every step of this process is handled with care, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to justice. Our investigation does not end here. We will continue working closely with prosecutors and ensure that the judicial process moves forward with integrity. May God bless the innocent soul of Melody Alani Buzzard, who we will
choked
never,
up there.
ever forget. Thank you, and I'll now turn it back over to our PIO, Rock Kelsey.
We have allotted some time if anybody has any follow-up questions. Again, reinforcing the fact that we do have an ongoing investigation, and while we're trying to balance transparency with seeking justice for Melody, so we do have an opportunity to take just a few questions. Yes, Crystal.
Yeah, Raquel, I'm just curious to know, do we believe at this moment
This is a good PIO here, by the way.
or is there any potential leads that other suspects may be involved?
So the question is, do we believe that Ashley acted alone in this homicide?
This PIO stands for Public Information Officer, if I'm not mistaken. She repeats every question so that everybody, even us, we can hear the questions. It's terrific. She's like, well done, freaking Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office.
Turn it over to...
It's a good staff.
To Lieutenant Gottschall. Please step to the podium.
Thank you for your question. Our investigation thus far has revealed that at this time we don't believe that anyone else was involved.
Right here, yes.
Raquel, the sheriff mentioned the retrieval of cartridges
Yes.
and the live rounds. Is the murder weapon in evidence?
So the question is about the location of the murder weapon, if we have that in our evidence or in our possession at this time. I'll turn that over to Sheriff Brown.
Thank you. Yeah, the short answer is no. We do not have the murder weapon yet, but we continue to seek it.
I wonder if they will find that.
I'll come back to you for your follow-up question in just a moment. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. The fact that we've got, 2,500 miles that have been driven, that that gun could have been disposed of in pieces in multiple places across 1,000 miles, right? Like, just, okay, well, there is the barrel out the window, there is the spring out the window, there is the mag out the, and so on and so forth, right? That could just be disposed of, just littered across the fruited plains.
Will this case be tried in Santa Barbara County or elsewhere?
Okay, so the question is where this trial will take place. I believe Sheriff Brown will have a response for that.
Yes, the plan is that this trial will take place here, since the intent was believed to have been formed here in our county.
Starting from the beginning,
prior
man.
to going on this road trip and committing the actual crime.
So we're going to have room for just a couple more questions. I'll volley back here. Yes?
And for any of you, I know early in the
That's the most polite press corps I've ever heard.
out in those various
She'll
areas
repeat
along
the question.
road trip. Had that area in Wayne County been searched at all?
So the question is if investigators on their initial routes had been through that area of Wayne County. I believe you're asking if we'd specifically probably been to the scene of the crime. I'm going to refer to Lieutenant Goschel for that.
Thank you for your question. We've been following a ton of leads, looking at a lot of different data and information. It is an expansive area of the United States that we
Yeah.
were searching.
Half the
And
US.
Unfortunately, we didn't have specific location information until recently. Thank you.
It's almost half of the U.S.
Yes.
When can we expect a mugshot of Ashley to be released?
For those of you who live outside of the United States, this is what happens. On the East Coast, we're all kind of crammed together, a bunch of little states all kind of crammed together. And then as you head west, it's an artifact of the migration west, right? The manifest destiny, as it was called back then. These territories became larger and larger and larger. So when we're talking about California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, though it is only 6 out of 50 states, it is a vast, huge swath. Probably not half, but maybe 30% of the entire United States is the crime scene, right? So, yeah, that's real tough.
I'll have you email me on privately.
They
on
asked
that.
about
We'll-
when the
we'll
mugshot will be
proceed
available.
with that. We'll take one final question here, and then that'll be a wrap for us. Yes.
Is there a motive that you can share with us at all?
The question is to a motive. If we have one established, I'll have Sheriff Brown cover.
I haven't seen a mugshot yet.
We
I
have
just
not
looked it up.
established a motive at this point. We have obviously established that it is what's known as a filicide, the slaying of a child, in this case a maternal filicide. And there's been a lot of study and a lot of discussion about that and what motivates people to do that. But as far as an actual direct motive, we haven't established that yet.
Very quick follow-up. I know that
Filicide, by the
Ashley
way,
has
comes from,
described her as uncooperative throughout
Phila
the
and Philo.
investigation. Can you describe her
I mean, it's
demeanor now?
daughter and
Has
son.
she spoken or confessed
It might be
in any way?
Filio.
Can you talk about her demeanor now?
Yeah, I can tell you that as of this morning, no, there was no change in
Filius.
her attitude and her demeanor.
So uncooperative.
Uncooperative.
Thank you all very much for coming out and for being patient with us through this process, not just today, but throughout the entirety of the investigation. And again, we really do appreciate the media's coverage of this very important case. And that's going to conclude our press conference for today. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. So let's just, Filius and Filia are the Latin words for son and daughter. So that's where that comes from. Let me see if I'm going to refresh here. Goodness sake. There's so many comments. Let me just, yeah, I'm probably going to miss several of your comments just because of the refresh. Robin says, I mean, the mom doesn't act like a super normal person. She is an odd duck indeed. Oh yeah, also went to Wyoming. Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, so California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas. Thank you. I missed Wyoming. Of course, you can't go from Colorado to Nebraska with, or let's see, from Utah to Colorado, I get. Well, no, it's weird. Yeah, they stack. But okay. Yeah. Certainly have to go through Wyoming to get to Nebraska. Let's see. I'm just seeing GF from Bex Cannon, but I don't see an actual question. You got to put GF and your question. Joanne Marie, 47 years ago today, I gave birth to my first child. I died on the delivery table, but was brought back. Wow. I just can't understand how you can go through and have no respect for the life you've created. Well, I'm glad they brought you back, Joanne. But yeah, let's bring up Melody's picture. What a perfect illustration of just what has gone wrong here, right? What has gone wrong? Mooney asked, when was Melody found? I think they said, let me go to the timeline here real quick. Her body was discovered on December 6th by two people taking pictures in the area of East State Route 24 in Wayne County, which I showed you here. They were in this area. She was found on West Caneville Road, which only looks to be maybe 1,000 feet long or so. I'm looking at the scale there. So, or a quarter mile, maybe something like that. So this article from KSBY says December 6th, due to the state of decomposition, DNA confirmation was needed to positively identify her remains. Thank you for the question, Mooney. I keep on going through here. Yeah, Julie Martino, horrible news today. Indeed. Keep on scrolling here. I've got a couple of minutes. Content Angel, you wouldn't be saying that if you grew up there and did news there, Gavin, like I did. I'm not following the comment. I'm sorry that because of the delay between when you say something, when I say something, when you reply, and when I read it, I don't know. I'm not following you. Sorry, Content Angel. Liv Wade, 1993. Ooh, hey, we got a couple 1993s in the chat here. We got Kitty's 1993 too. 1993 is the year that I graduated from high school. It's a very important fact. Look at this. This is my my yearbook from graduating high school. I'm scanning it for a friend who lost her yearbook in a fire. So anyway, Liv Wade says, I've been watching Gavin forever and I'm just never in chat, but this case got me. It got a lot of us. Thanks for your comment. Jen St. Peter, always late, but I made it to my first live. Woohoo! Just caught up on 2x speed because I was horrified to see the update. I weirdly thought she might be alive with someone. A lot of us hoped, man. A lot of us hoped that she left Melody in the care of somebody that for some crazy reason didn't want to disclose who that someone was, I guess, but yeah, it didn't turn out that way. Gavin, says Peanut's mom, I have the feeling where it happened that she dumped the weapon in the river that is nearby. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's the Fremont River. Going back over here for you guys to see it, though. I mean, in that part of Utah, I don't know that specific part of Utah. You guys know I was born in Utah. My parents are Utah kids. But when it comes to southern Utah, I just don't know it all that well. But that almost looks like a seasonal river. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Possible that is what happened. Maybe she's stupid enough to do something like that. Maybe they are still looking in that area. Could be. Bring up a different picture. Look at that little girl. You know what? I was just reminded of this. There are no recent photos of Melody Buzzard because nobody seems to have them. Here she was in disguise that day. What was that? October 7th at the rental car agency. But The only pictures we have of her are when she's a little pumpkin. Oh my goodness. Aren't little girls the best? I prayed that our first child would be a girl because my oldest sibling is a girl, and I just thought best way to start a family is to have a daughter to start us out, and we were blessed with an oldest daughter. Aren't they just the sweetest? My goodness sake. Oh, heartbreaking. Okay. Mooney says, many have asked what state will Ashley face justice. Yeah, he said that at the end of the press conference. It'll be in California. Bex Cannon, for her to have the shell casing and then the same kind of bullet at her house, like she clearly wanted to get caught because she sure did and tried to hide that part. Yeah, again, stupidity, right? Here are some pictures of Ashley Buzzard. She has a very different look these days. That is an angry look. Look at that look. Her posture is impeccable, though. My goodness. Yeah. Anyway, let's get Melody back up on there. Mooney, I will not disregard the earlier question because that's not the direction I go. Why? Ruby's asking the $64,000 question, right? They said in the press conference, we have no idea what the motive is. And this is always the thing that we want to know. What the devil, man? What the devil? It's so hard. Couple more here. Peanuts mom says, if you go into the map view where they say the road is, there is a boat ramp or like a driveway into the river. I have a feeling that's where she dumped the weapon. Let's take a look at that. See if I see a wash there. Oh yeah, this is more like a little delta, right? There are little creeks all over the place. And that does look like there's some sort of way to get into the water there in the loop. It's hard to say. See if it. Yeah, that's a rural high desert area, man. Out in the middle of nowhere. Couple more. Mooney, thank you so much for giving some gift memberships. And speaking of gifts, today is our last day before the Christmas break. I am so glad you guys give me the gift of watching my videos, and I'm deeply, deeply, deeply grateful for it. Thank you so much. And Mooney, thank you for sending those gift memberships. Peanuts mom, I seriously hope that Melody did not know what was coming, that her horrid birth giver didn't let her see what was about to happen. I hope so too. So she was seen at the rental car place before school called to check on her. Yes, but they didn't discover that until after. They didn't discover it. It was as they were doing their investigation that they discovered that. Joanne Marie, and she has the nerve to set up a shrine for her in her living room, according to, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Yeah, it's also heartbreaking, guys. Let's see. We've got a couple more minutes here. I want to get into one of our segments. It's going to be a brief one, and that is headlines. Here we go.
True crime headlines.
Pow! Guys, I've been keeping a close watch on the Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner Singer murders that happened last Sunday, a little over a week ago in Brentwood, California. In fact, tonight's live stream was going to be dedicated to the psychology of why people kill their parents. But I did want to bring up one little piece of news that has come out. Just a little bit. This coming from People Magazine, well, people.com. Are magazines a thing still? I don't even know. Rob and Michelle Reiner died minutes after injuries, death certificates reveal. Let's Let's see. Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle's official death certificates confirm details about their killings obtained by People today. The documents confirm Rob, 78, Michelle, 70, died of multiple sharp force injuries inside their Los Angeles home on Sunday the 14th, caused, quote, with knife by another. With knife by another. That A has been added in there. I don't know why they did that. With knife by another. The time between the onset of injuries and death is listed as minutes. And yeah, I hope, I just truly hope that they did not. Well, it says that it took minutes, which is, no, it's not great. It's a mercy, let's say. But I'm hoping that their consciousness was gone. Like they were unconscious for those last few minutes. I really do. The death certificates indicate Rob was found first around 3:45 p.m. and Michelle, who is listed as widowed, was discovered at 3:46 p.m. Oh, and that would have been the official discovery, not the daughter discovery, I think. They have since been cremated according to death certificates. People previously reported that their bodies were repatriated to the family on the 16th. Yeah, and of course, Nick Reiner has been arrested in the murder of his folks. And that is the only headline that I have for you tonight. Let's head on in, shall we, to the last segment of the show. It's 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Pow! All right, guys, you know the rules. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're new here. You don't know the rules. And this is pretty recent. But in the final segment of the show, I like to answer 3 questions submitted by you. And you can submit them to 3questions@gavinfish.com. That's spelled out THREE, questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com. Now, don't cheat and use 3questions@gavinfish.com to just send me an email. It doesn't work that way. Those just get trashed. I need questions. And we're running low on questions. So send them in if you have a question, simple or complex, large or small. Send them on in to me and I will answer those questions to the best of my ability. In fact, that's my solemn promise, that I will answer your questions to the very best of my ability. Question number 1 is, I think they were asking in terms of when I was a child, did I have a favorite cereal? Now, you could also answer or ask this question, do you have a favorite cereal? And it would be the very same answer. There's only one answer to the world's best cereal. There are variations, I grant you, but that is Captain Crunch. That is the best cereal in the world. And let me tell you why. Because apparently I'm a masochist. I like to be able to taste the metallic taste of blood from the lacerations to the top of my palate from the Good Captain's Crunch. I like it crunchy. Now, I admittedly, I have not eaten any of the aforementioned Captain's Crunch in many years, but I look forward to doing so at my earliest convenience. Right now, it's not convenient, but, and then the variations, of course, are Crunch Berries, and then only Crunch Berries. As long as the lacerations exist, that is the best cereal. In all seriousness, I just loved how it kept its crunch. I mean, we're not talking, this is not Corporal Crunch. This is not Lieutenant Crunch. This is Captain Crunch. This is a high-ranking officer. It's got to keep that crunch. So that is my favorite cereal and always has been. I didn't get it a lot. My mom, I maintain that the meanest moms really are the best moms. And my mom just had a mean streak in her. We only had like Cheerios and Wheaties, man. Who feeds their child in the 80s Cheerios and Wheaties when the Good Captain is available to be crunching? I don't know, but that's what it is. A second question, Olivia Newton-John or Linda Ronstadt? Listen, all due respect to Ms. Ronstadt, whose talent is nearly beyond reproach. Nearly. Have you heard Blue Bayou? Oh, it just is so good. But I gotta give it to Olivia Newton-John, and let me tell you why. Again, as a child born in the 70s, raised in the 80s and 90s, that may have been the handsomest woman in the history of women. And she was in movies. She was an actress. She was a singer. She did sweaty music videos. Come on. Xanadu? Xanadu is my guilty pleasure. I love that movie. And I know that everybody's like, oh, it's dated. And no, it is not. That scene where Gene Kelly and the main dude, I can't remember his name right now, I'm blanking, are envisioning their club, and one is like a 1940s big band and one is a 1980s rock band, and they come together. I'm sorry, it's classic. Plus, it is the music of Electric Light Orchestra. That is Jeff Lynne. So Olivia Newton-John, and maybe my favorite appearance of Olivia Newton-John happened just maybe a couple years before her death. She was a guest singer with the legendary Roots crew on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And if you haven't seen it, she is terrific. So yeah, my choice, Olivia Newton-John. Question number 3, which board game would you prefer to play, Monopoly or Clue? This is the easiest question that has ever been posed to the bearded one, yours truly. Listen, Monopoly is just some game manufacturer's attempt at torturing all of us. It is the world's worst game. It is the worst. The worst. Now, I do like Clue. So out of Monopoly or Clue? Clue for sure. But I'm not really a board game guy. Fun fact, though. And the thing I like about Clue is like you can play it with kids and you can simplify it, right? You can just simplify it, play it with kids. Oh, Monopoly is just torture. Anyway, but fun fact, with the exception, if memory serves, on the Clue board, I think there is a billiard room. With the exception of the billiard room, which in our case is the music room, the Clue board is the first floor of our house. Almost exactly. Almost exactly. Where the billiard room is on the board, that's where our music room is. It's, of course, there aren't halls in between each room, but if you go around the house, that's our house. And so I like playing Clue for that reason. Those, my friends, are your 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
I'd love it if you'd send me in 3 questions at gavinfish.com. That's and I've appreciated the questions that have come in. But yeah, over the little Christmas break, because we're not going to be live streaming tomorrow or Thursday, which is Christmas Day. Definitely send them in. Okay. With a few minutes that we have left, I just want to remind you guys that you can always reach out to me on my website, gavinfish.com. There's always a link down in the description below. You can also read Crime Caught articles, which is my full-on true crime news website. And you can take a look at the Support Me page. I deeply appreciate YouTube members, patrons, people who just help me financially do this job. Thank you so much for that. You guys are amazing. Thank you for watching. That is maybe the number one thing that you can do. Watch, comment, like, share. You guys are awesome. Also, don't forget my lead moderator, Autumn. Buy her a cup of coffee if you can. She wrangles all of y'all, and she does a great job of it. If you click on this little fishy icon up at the top right hand corner, that will take you over to the fish tank where we hang out on the Book of Faces. We talk about many things true crime, and yeah, you're cordially invited always to join me there. With that, guys, I wish you, if you celebrate Christmas, a very Merry Christmas. If you don't, I wish you a happy holiday season. So grateful for you and for the life-changing nature. Well, you have changed my life. That's what I'm trying to say. You've changed my life, and for the better, way, way, way better. And I'm very grateful for you, and will be thinking of you over the next couple of days where we take a break. And we will be back on the 26th talking about more true crime. And until then, I bid you adieu. And I hope that you take care of yourselves. Good night. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.